Your home has been sending you signals. Not suggestions, not feelings, signals. Not because something is wrong with you, not because you're too sensitive or too emotional. This has already been happening. You just did not have the words for it yet. And now that you do, you will never walk through a door the same way again. Welcome. If this is your first time here, this channel exists for one reason, to show you that the things you feel but cannot explain are almost always backed by science you were never taught. Subscribe before we go further, because we cover 7 signs your home has been warning you, and you'll want to come back to this. Stay until sign number 5. That is the one most people find impossible to explain away. And the final one changes everything. Sign number 1. Your body knows something is wrong before your mind does. You have walked into a room in your own house and felt it. That slight tightening in your chest. That shallow breath. That vague, sourceless heaviness that settles before you have even set down your bag. You look around. Nothing is different. Nothing has changed. And so you do what most people do. You assume it is you. Your mood. Your stress. Your overreaction. Most people assume the feeling is coming from inside them. It is not. It is not imagination. It is information. Appleton, a geographer and environmental psychologist, published a landmark theory in 1975 called Prospect-Refuge. His finding was this: human beings are wired at an evolutionary level to feel safe only in specific spatial conditions, where your back is protected and you can see clearly ahead. When a room violates those conditions, a door behind you, a ceiling too low, windows placed incorrectly, your nervous system registers threat before a single conscious thought is formed. What this means for you is this: that heavy feeling you get in certain rooms is not a mood. It is your ancient survival system doing its job accurately in real time. Your body was never wrong. It was reading the room. But here is where it gets uncomfortable. What comes next is the part no one talks about. Sign number 2. The temperature of a room is changing your emotional state. There is probably a room in your home that runs a few degrees colder than the rest. A spare bedroom, a storage room, a back corner you only enter when you need something. You go in, you find what you came for, and you leave faster than you planned. Every single time. And you have never stopped to ask why. Most people assume they're just in a hurry. They are not. It is not habit. It is avoidance. That room with the one small north-facing window and the stagnant air and the stacked forgotten things. Your chest tightens the moment you cross the threshold. No ghost. No tragedy. Just cold, still air and the weight of everything you have put off dealing with. Darby, Saxbe, and Rena Repetti at UCLA studied this in 2010, published in the Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin. Women who described their homes as cluttered or unfinished showed measurably dysregulated cortisol patterns, the stress hormone your body runs on, and significantly higher depressed mood throughout the day. What this means for you is this: that cold, stagnant room is not neutral. Every time you enter it, your body registers a small dose of stress. You leave, but your cortisol does not reset that fast. You carry it into the next room, into the next conversation, into the rest of your day. You thought you left it behind. You did not. And that is not even the part that changes things. Sign number 3. One object in your home is either anchoring you or slowly pulling you under. There's a chair, or a corner, or a particular spot by a window. You know the one. You go there, and something releases. Your shoulders drop. Your breathing slows. The noise in your head quiets. You have probably never told anyone about it, because it sounds too small to explain, but it is not small. Most people assume it is just habit or preference. It is not. It is not comfort. It is restoration. Research in neuroarchitecture, the science of how built environments affect brain function, shows that natural light hitting a space at a specific angle, combined with mild ambient sound and familiar scent, creates a measurable neurological reset. Not metaphorically. Measurably. The morning sun at 7 a.m. on an old wicker chair, the quiet hum of a refrigerator, the smell of old books. Your brain reads this cluster of signals as safe, known, and restorative, and it responds by lowering your physiological stress response. What this means for you is this: that chair is not sentimental. It is medicine. And the fluorescent light buzzing in your utility room that makes you irritable within 10 minutes without you knowing why. That is the opposite. Both are real. Both are measurable. One is restoring you. One is costing you something every single day. This is the part most people miss. What comes next is the reason most people stay stuck for years. Sign number 4. Your home has been teaching the people around you how to treat you. Think about the most joyful person you know. Now imagine putting them in a room made entirely of white marble, sharp glass edges, and hard, echoing surfaces. Watch what happens. Their voice drops. Their posture stiffens. They stop reaching for things. They become careful, rigid, diminished. Not because they changed, because the room demanded it. Most people assume that a person's personality is fixed regardless of environment. It is not. It is not character. It is response. A boisterous, laughing, generous man, the kind who fills a room, walked into a hyper-minimalist home and became a whisper of himself within minutes. Terrified of spilling something, sitting rigid, the house demanded perfection and quietly swallowed everything he was. The marriage did not survive, and the cold house took a piece of it. What this means for you is this. If your home demands that you be smaller, quieter, more careful, more contained, you will become that slowly without noticing. And then one day you will wonder where you went. But what comes next is the pattern most people never identify. Sign number 5. Your home has been making you argue about the wrong things. You're not angry at your partner. You are not even angry at the situation. You are angry because the kitchen is a bottleneck and you have stepped around each other 4 times in 10 minutes and your body is running a low-grade territorial stress response that neither of you can name. Most people assume relationship friction is always relational. It is not. It is not conflict. It is architecture. Homes with poor layouts, cramped shared spaces, no visual privacy, perpetually dim hallways, create what environmental psychologists call sustained friction. The body never fully relaxes, which means the nervous system never fully lowers its alert. That alert bleeds into patience, into tone, into how fast you snap at something small. Appleton's research explains why. When your environment does not give your primal brain the spatial signals it needs to feel safe, it stays partially activated. What this means for you is this. Some of the hardest conversations in your home were not caused by you or the person across from you. They were caused by the room you were standing in. That changes where you need to look. And this is where everything changes. But what comes next is the sign most people find hardest to explain away. Because this one does not just happen around you. This one happens through you. Sign number 6. I want to speak directly to someone watching this. There was a moment, maybe in a living room, maybe in a hallway, maybe standing in a house you were about to leave or had just moved into, where the feeling hit you so hard and so suddenly that you could not explain it. A grief that did not belong to you. A weight that had no name. Maybe it was recent. Maybe it was years ago. But you know the moment I'm talking about. A man rented an old Victorian apartment. Cheerful. Easygoing. Within 3 months, he sank into a dark, weeping depression he could not explain. The grief came specifically when he sat in the living room. He broke the lease. He left. A year later, he learned that building had been a makeshift convalescent home during the 1918 influenza pandemic. That living room was where families had gathered to say their final goodbyes. Carl Jung called this kind of thing synchronicity, not supernatural but not dismissible either. Spaces carry the imprint of what has moved through them. Environmental psychologists now study how buildings absorb and echo emotional residue through physical properties, acoustics, air circulation patterns, even the way light bends through old glass. I am not going to tell you that what you felt was nothing. You were right to pay attention. You were not wrong to feel it. Sign number 7. The way you feel in your home right now is not permanent, but it will not change on its own. Approximately 75% of people report sleeping better and feeling measurably calmer in clean, organized spaces. Research consistently shows 15 to 25% reductions in daily stress with improved natural light and layout. These are not lifestyle suggestions. These are physiological outcomes. Most people assume that what they feel inside their home is simply who they are. It is not. It is not your personality. It is your environment. Epictetus wrote that while we cannot always control our circumstances, we can learn to recognize the impressions they place on us and choose our response. Your home has been placing impressions on you every single day. The tightening in your chest at the door, the heaviness in the cold room, the strange grief in the corner, the arguments that started nowhere, These were not moods. They were messages. And the fact that you are watching this means some part of you already knew that. You're not a person who is difficult to settle. You're a person who has been living in a space that has never settled with you. Before you scroll, think about the one pattern you have been pretending not to see. Not the obvious one, the real one. Drop just one word in the comments. Tell me in the comments. What was happening in your life? What was the sign? I read everyone.